Saleh is the favorite to get the job with the New York Jets.
So you heard the deal. Robert Saleh, last 4 years, defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, will be the new head coach of the Jets.
And they were enamored with the energy, the spunk, the intelligence that he would bring to that job.
If you are a person that believes that a guy should earn his stripes, a guy that should go through the process of becoming a coach, this is your man.
Saleh's a very smart guy who can understand any scheme.
I think he has a great poise, a great feel for players, a great understanding of his game.
An intellect. It's his calm that players really respond to. He connects with them on that way. Intellect led the way.
You understand why his guys play that way. Whether it was defense, offense, or special teams, people would want to follow his lead.
And welcome to another episode of the SD4L show. I'm Justin Thind. I'm here with my co-host Brian Masalem, back from hiatus, here for a special guest today, a guest that Brian claims he knows well. We'll find out today on this episode, or if that's not true. And I guess without further ado, we bring in one of the hottest coaching candidates for Coach of the Year right now, to be frank, Coach Robert Saleh. Thank you for joining us today, Coach.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
So, Coach, I'm going to ask you right away. You're in the NFL doing really well. Brian's over here doing this podcast with me. Where did he go wrong?
I don't know if he does anything wrong. The guy just, whatever he touches turns into gold. I mean, he's got the magic touch.
Coach, what years were you at MSU? Who were you GAs with? Tell us a little bit about that. Who you lived with, your favorite bars, favorite times. What was that time like? What year was that like? Who hired you? Just tell Spartan Nation.
For sure. So I was I was with Bobby Williams. It was Bobby Williams last year. I get the years confused, so forgive me. But it was Charles Rogers, Jeff Smoker. I mean, we were ranked to start the season, and I came in as a volunteer student, Spartan 8, and Ben McAdoo had just left to go be a position coach like a week before the season started, and it opened up the door for me to become one of the GAs, and I was GAing with Matt House, who's now the defensive coordinator at LSU. So it was a really cool room, and long story short, that first year didn't go exactly the way we wanted. I was living with John Shinsky, who's a former Spartan.
Great man.
Great man. He opened up his basement. You know, those Spartan GAs back then were only making about $600 a month, so it wasn't exactly the greatest living. So I had a lot of help, and I'd go in the basement, I'd sleep, I'd get back up, I'd go to work, and I stayed on when John L. Smith came around for his first year, and then I got my graduate degree, and that was it for me.
Who was your who were the GAs with you? What was your favorite bar? Where'd you hang out at? Well, what did you do when you were there?
God. Is my wife going to see all this? No, you know what? Javier Lara. I remember Javier Lara. He's no longer in coaching, but Matt House, obviously, he's done a great job. And my time was quick. I spent a lot of time with a lot of guys. I'm not sure who's still there, to be honest with you. I've lost so much touch with it. But going out to the bar, I mean, I was it the $Dirty Dollar? Was that it? Was that it?
It was the Silver Dollar.
The Silver
Dollar.
The
Land Shark, Grix,
Oh yeah, there was all of them. But David Sakura, former
Dave Sakura,
Michigan
O-lineman.
Yep, he was a GA also, and he actually stood up at my wedding.
Oh yeah.
He's no longer in coaching, so we had a really cool group. But a lot of great memories at Michigan State, and there's a lot of stories I'm not going to share too much on here, but there's some good.
What, Coach,
I guess, Coach, what are some of the formative sort of coaching points you learned from your days at Michigan State that you have applied throughout your career since then?
You know, it's every spot kind of gives you some type of tool. The tool that I got from Michigan State was learning how to use the computer equipment. That was kind of how I got my into the NFL. Is when I first got into coaching, the fact that I could turn on a computer was like, oh wow, how'd you do that? You know, it was all brand new. Everything was brand new. We're just transferring from beta to digital, and that was kind of my niche. As far as like coaching philosophies and all that, I don't know if I could say that anything was gathered, because I was just trying to figure out who the heck I was before I could figure out what the heck I wanted to do coaching stuff.
For sure.
There was so much to learn. I was around so many great coaches, a lot of guys who I have very fond memories of, from Reggie Mitchell and Mike Vollmer. He was there for a while. Obviously Bobby Williams, and when we got to the Doug Nussmeier was on John L. Smith's staff. There's Jeff Stoutland, who I'm still connected to. He's at Philadelphia. That's a fantastic man. So there's a lot of guys who I've had a lot of connections to that I'm still I've stayed connected to. But as far as like coaching philosophies and schemes and all that stuff, I really didn't come into my own until I got to Seattle with regards to understanding personal philosophy first.
Right.
You know, Spartan Nation wants to know, and we're a little offended by it. And you and I have had a lot of banter and discourse, and actually it was a great pick, but we're a little offended that you took Brees over K9. And we want to know why. Now, we know why. Brees is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But how could you move up in the draft and take Brees over our guy? Why'd you do that?
So K9, phenomenal football player, big fan. I'm pumped that he's doing a great job in Seattle. But for us and what we wanted and what fit us at that time, I'm not going to get into the details of what exactly was in the scouting reports and all that stuff. But you know, both of them, it was like 1A, 1B. You couldn't go wrong. It was both phenomenal football players, but we just felt like Brees was our guy, and that's a selection we made. And I mean, the kid's unbelievable. They're both unbelievable. So it's worked out for both of them. It's unfortunate that Brees got hurt, but he's going to be good for a while.
Yeah, Coach probably figured if they're tied and one of the picks gets to make you mad, that's the tiebreaker. So. Coach, I got to ask you, just because this is kind of the side of the profession that fans and people on the outside don't get to see. When you sign a contract to become a head coach, what are the next 24 hours like? It's a whirlwind. You got to catch up with all sorts of things. What are those next 24 hours like from the second the ink dries?
You know, there's from really the ink drying is it's as soon as you become the head coach. And
right.
I mean, the semantics of contract is pretty much done. Signing it is pretty. You're going into calling the people. The next, I'd say the next week is assembling the staff and getting them to the facility to start working. That's the first thing you're doing. And I remember, you know, when I got the job, it was actually almost 4 or 5 days before I actually showed up to the facility. So I was at home working and calling up coaches and all the people who I had talked to during the entire interview process that I had agreed that, hey, if I get a job, we're doing this thing. And so I put the staff together. It was pretty quick. When I got here, obviously there was a few more things to do, but arriving here is where all the craziness happened with regards to trying to, you know, just get caught up with the lay of the land. And you're trying to find a house for the family so you can get them here quickly. You're trying to put the pieces together of not only a staff, but now you're trying to put the scheme together, and you're trying to establish scheduling, and you're trying to call the players. So it's you know, Gary Kubiak, when I first got the job, called me and he said, "Hey Rob, just remember, it'll get done." And don't really understand what he meant at the time, but as I was going, and the stack of papers would be about a foot off my desk, it was just it's going to get done. Just keep chopping wood. It's going to get done, and eventually that stack will be gone, and you can just get into a groove.
Keep chopping. All right. So, Coach, over your left shoulder, you have the Fortson tractor helmet, and it's very, very important to you. Tell us why, as it is to me. Tell us why.
I don't think there's a high school in the country that's like it, especially, just when you look at the community that we're from and just the predominant Middle Eastern community that it is, and what Fortson is as a public school being 90% Middle Eastern, and the tradition and the love that our community has for football. And there is no school like it in the country, and there's the amount of heart and love and appreciation that we all have for one another in that school. And when you leave, the attachment that you have to that school, the people that are still connected to that school, everyone's family. It's just it's something that I'm very proud of.
It is very weird. It's an attachment we'll never lose. So
there's nothing like
nothing like it, because we know everybody that played there, their kids, their sons, their uncles, their nephews, there will be nothing like it.
It's like a small town vibe in a big metropolitan area. It's like something that you would find in the south of Texas, where all it is that high school. Well, there's a heck of a lot more to do in Detroit than Fortson High School, but Fortson High School, it's just unique to our community. It's unique.
It's special. It is special. Is it, Coach, is it weird playing against your hometown team that you rooted for this week? Is that weird to you?
No, not anymore. When I first got in the league, I think this is like the 5th time that I've gone against the Lions as an assistant coach, or now this is my first time as a head coach. But it's once I got into the NFL, the favorite, I still kind of look up in the scoreboard. All right, Lions winning, that's cool.
Yeah, sure.
You look at it and you see your buddies that around the league, and like you take a peek. But as far as that attachment and the weirdness of it all, it's been gone a long time ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, couldn't imagine. That's surreal for sure. So, Coach, a question that I have from a football standpoint: when you're a defensive coordinator that gets a head coaching job, and obviously you've gotten to that point because you have the utmost confidence in your own scheme and your own way of calling a defense. When you then hire a defensive coordinator, do you try to get someone that closely mirrors you and your style, or do you try to add to your repertoire, I guess, and go and try to get someone that brings more of an outside perspective?
That's a good question. So I look at it, when you're building a staff, you're not building a staff to fulfill a scheme. You're building a staff to fulfill one whole coach. And every coach has a weakness. And so identifying what my weakness is first and finding the people who can plug that weakness, so together we make a complete football coach. And, I seek Jeff Ulbrich. Jeff Ulbrich is phenomenal. He's played in the league for a while, but he and I have the same mindset with regards to the idea that people are what win football games. It's not your scheme. It's mindset, it's effort, it's violence, it's all the things that sometimes we can get lost in because we're so consumed with scheme. It's and so he was very important to me to make sure that message continued. And then you bring in a guy like Mike Rutenberg, who's been with me forever, knows every detail of the scheme that we have. And then Tony Oden, Marquand Manuel from the DB standpoint, and then Aaron Whitecotton from a D-line standpoint, guys who understand from a schematic standpoint, but also bring the intangible of mindset, but just from a defensive standpoint, and just making sure that together we all fulfill something that the other person can't. So it was love our staff, offensive staff too, but that was kind of the mindset going into this: is who are the ones that I can identify, because the scheme's going to be the scheme. Right. We might add a wrinkle here and there, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's whether or not we can extract all the things that are truly important when you put a helmet on. It's mindset.
So, Coach, Vegas had you guys a win total at 5.5 for the year, whatever that means, right? You've obviously exceeded expectations. You have a top 5 defense in the NFL. Really, in a year and a half, which is remarkable, the defense that you have, you and Joe Douglas and the administration has actually built. the progression, the progress of this defense, did you expect it this quickly in year 2?
Yeah, you never expect not to be good. But I give a lot of credit. You know, Joe Douglas does such a great job from a scouting standpoint and just running his side of the building, and really having the security in himself to be able to include the coaching staff. And so the discussions that are had, and giving us the platform to talk about our schemes and to talk about what players have worked in our schemes and what intangibles we're looking for, what characteristics we're looking for, and then him and his staff to be able to absorb that information and go identify the players that hit those marks, and then all of us being able to watch those players and decide whether or not that player is going to be the guy we want, just whatever. He does such a great job, and their staff does such a great job finding all these guys, and you know, so you bring these guys in, you teach them the best you can, and but when you look at the guys that are on our roster, you know, you wouldn't before the season know, and it's no different whenever you're trying to emerge as a team. You wouldn't look at our guys and say, well, God, they're loaded with superstars. But now as you watch them play, you're like, damn, these guys are freaking good. And they are. You know, guys like Jordan Whitehead, DJ Reed, Ahmad obviously was a 4th pick. Quinnen Williams is having the best year of his career. And then just along our D-line from JFM, the Rankins, to Nate Shepard, to Carl Lawson, our rookie's doing really well. Bryce Huff, who's an undrafted free agent, is having a heck of a year. Our linebackers, Quincy Williams, who was cut by Jacksonville, he comes in. We, you know, identify him as somebody that we think could help us, and he's doing it. C.J. Mosley's having a fantastic renaissance to his career. He looks fantastic. And Quan Alexander's like the Energizer Bunny. LaMarcus Jordan, I can name all of them, but it's such a cool collection of players who play their absolute hearts out. And if you have a person, if you could get a collection of guys who just play as hard as they can, you feel like you have a chance to succeed. And those guys exemplify everything you want out of a football player.
But you know, Coach, earlier in the year we talked about, or you talked about, those that believe and those that have faith, those that can see it before it happens, right? So earlier in the year when the team was winning, it was great. It was fantastic. And now as the year has progressed, you've set the culture that it's expected, that we expect to win. You change that mindset. We were so happy to win earlier in the year. Now it's expected to go into Buffalo, to go to Minnesota, to compete, to go to the playoffs. Like, that's an expectation that the players expect in the locker room. When you said make it normal, how did you do that? When we walked out of Cleveland, we walked out of Pittsburgh, we were so happy to win. Now it's expected. Talked about how you changed all that.
I don't know if it's me per se. I think we have an unbelievable locker room. I think our players believe in themselves. You know, it's the Cleveland game was exciting because it was by some miracle. The Pittsburgh game was coming back, but then we just had a run of games where just played good football, and it was expected. There's not a moment that we go to the stadium and think, God, I don't know if we can win this week. You know, that's not the mindset of our guys, and it, you know, people talk culture. Culture can sometimes be a cliche term, because culture starts with the people you bring in. It starts with the people. It's always about people, and identifying people who represent the style of football that you want, and not just playing style, but the characteristics of what type of a human you're bringing into your building. They're the ones that make the culture. And again, Joe Douglas and his staff, they've done a phenomenal job bringing in guys who just absolutely love this game, and they do everything they can to protect it. They love it, and they exemplify confident. They have this confidence to them, and just love. I love our locker room. It's an unbelievable locker room. So it's fun. It's a fun group to coach.
So, Coach, now you're the head coach in a big sports market, in a big market in general. You're a recognizable figure. How has your life kind of changed out in public or just in any sort of sense outside of the football field as you've kind of gotten into this position? Any funny stories out in public or anything like that?
No, we live in this beautiful town, Morristown, and we kind of part of the Madison School District and all that, and it's like living in it's not New York. It's not. You're living in the suburbs. You're living. The community here is so welcoming. They're such good people, and it's very much like back home where everybody knows everybody. Every kid knows every kid. Every parent knows every kid and their parents. It's just. You feel very safe to let your kids just jump on a bike and ride, which we haven't been able to experience since I got into coaching. We've just bounced around, and so most of my free time is spent going to my kids' games and or taking my wife out to dinner on a Friday night. But I really don't get to the city much, and if I'm not doing kids sports, wife at dinner, I'm probably on a golf course. So it's kind of low.
You are on a golf course. That's right.
Coach, any funny stories of Brian here that we can hold over his head? Anything?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Zero.
No. I doubt that.
The only funny story I got.
Stop!
I've said this
Don't bring
before.
that up.
Okay.
Come on. We're not.
We're
not talking about. It's about you.
Oh, and mute his mic.
Stop.
So I'm in 8th grade. My brother wants to take me to.
Hold on. Let's talk about David. What has David meant to your career? I need to know that because he's a 2-time Little League champion. What has he meant to your career? Be honest, Coach.
No, David, my brother. Real quick, I'm getting to this funny story. My brother David's been phenomenal. Like every young kid, if you have an older brother, he's going to kind of be an inspiration and all that. His story.
Well, hold on. What kind of inspiration has he been? Tell us, please.
Inspiration to just I love you. He's support. He's always got my back. Tells me to stop bitch. Excuse my language. Crying when I just sad or feeling discouraged. He's been a rock. And he's been there throughout this entire journey. So I always appreciate him.
Absolutely. So what's your question? Go ahead.
I got to get this Brian story.
Okay, so I was in 8th grade, and my brother, who used to wake me up at 2 a.m. to feed me peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because he wanted me to gain weight, takes me over to Fortson because he wants me to meet Jeff Sturgalis, who was the head coach for a long time. A lot of respect for him. And so at the time, I think the weight room was kind of being remodeled, so we were in the wrestling room, and there's weights around, and I'm getting this little tour, and I'm walking through, and I hear this guy yell, "Off the top ropes!" And boom, right in the back of the head. I'm on the ground. I'm about to start crying, and I look up, and it's Brian. Hits me in the back of the head.
We need to see if we can get him brought up on charges retroactively.
That's my first true encounter with Brian.
Well, I want you to know that your brother is an angel watching over you. He's a 2-time Little League champion.
Which I hear about every day.
Every day we hear about it, yes. And if he has an opinion about who you should play, he's going to tell us, tell me, tell you, obviously. So what is it weird?
The All-22 be coaching.
Oh, he watches the All-22. Coach, one last question before we let you go. Who was your favorite Lions player growing up as a kid?
It's a cop-out, but it's true. It was Barry. Barry was
right.
Even if they stunk you turn on to watch them on offense, and when they punted, you turned it to the next game. And then you came back when they played offense. He was everything to everybody. Everybody wanted to be Barry. So it's he was a stud, still is.
What kind of job is Dan doing in Detroit? Dan Campbell.
Dan, he's doing a phenomenal job. Got to hang out with those guys at the Senior Bowl. Deuce Daly, Dan, because Deuce was the head coach for the game. Thought they did such a great job, very organized. but you just watch on tape. Dan Campbell, their staff represents. I feel like we're looking in the mirror. Two teams that play their tails off, gritty. Love what they've done with their offense, their O-line, their receivers, all of them. They just they fight. They will fight, and so it's going to be a really cool game to watch. It's from teams that just play balls to the wall and have guys who have great character, and from a locker room standpoint, guys who strap up and lay it all on the football field. It's all you can ask for, and there's not, he's doing a phenomenal job, and what they're putting together is not fake. They're going to be good for a long time.
Coach, it's been 60 years. My sister is a Lions fan. Should she have hope?
Absolutely. No, this team's a real deal. They're good, man. They're good. Dan's done a great job. I've always said their ownership group has always been well respected in this league, and they've always done so much for the organization. And eventually, they were going to get it right, and I think they've definitely got it right.
All right. I mean, we got it.
Coach, we could not thank you more for your insight, for the laughs, for the story on Brian, and for convincing us that you two know each other. So appreciate your time. Thanks again. And
Fortune Tractors.
Good luck the rest of the season.
David, your brother David. Appreciate that.
I love
him. Coach, we wish you listen, we're not going to lie here. I'm not going to lie here. Dearborn is Jets country right now. And it's the way it is. It's just that Dearborn, the hometown of Henry Ford, has become Jets country, and that's because of Coach Saleh.
Right.
So
rightfully so.
Coach, we wish you the best of luck Sunday. And so thank you for joining us. Take care.
I appreciate
All right?
you guys. Thank you.
Take
so
care.
much.
Thank you. That's Robert joining us. Coach Saleh here, former MSU GA.
Yeah.
I mean, if you would have told me when he was, 10 years old that he was going to be a head coach in the NFL, if you would have told me when he was going to be a GA at Michigan State that he was going to be a head coach in the NFL, I would have never even thought that possible.
Yeah, because you were assaulting him in the head all the time. That's probably why.
But it's more than that. It's about it's about those self-imposed limitations around your head, right? It's about believing that you can only reach so high.
It had never been done before.
Never been done before. Like if you asked, like Matt Ishbia, if he was going to be the number one, lender in the country, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you just never know if that's attainable. And when you see one of your own make it this far, it really gives everybody hope.
Yep.
It does. And he's done such a phenomenal job to build a defense that's top 3 in the league.
Yeah.
In year 2.
Yeah.
This is year 2.
Right.
It's year 2.
Yeah.
In New York, in the largest media market. And what's interesting is he's talked about the Lions and how well they've drafted the last 2 years. He said Dan has done a hell of a job, and then their GM's done a hell of a job, and so he just like the coaches know. They know when you draft.
Yep.
They know when it's organized. They know when it's put together.
Right.
And him and Joe Douglas have a good thing going on in New York, and then Dan and Brad
Holmes,
have a good thing going on in Detroit. So this game is a big game. It's a really, really big game. For the Jets, it's a must-win game. For Detroit, it's a must-win game. And can Detroit go into a cold weather outdoor stadium against a top 3 defense and win? NFL's it's anybody could beat anybody.
Any given Sunday.
Yeah, totally. But it's just so cool that he started at Michigan State, right?
Yeah.
And that he loves MSU. His uncle played at MSU. His whole family have Michigan State ties. I think it's pretty cool. One of our own is a head coach in the NFL. So go ahead.
Yep. Only 32 of those jobs.
That's it.
Yep. So with that great interview behind us now, we're going to talk some Michigan State recruiting here. first and foremost, this morning, or I guess I should say this afternoon, Michigan State landed their first commit of the day, and that was 2023 three-star wide receiver Isaiah Johnson. Here's one play where you can see Isaiah.
Great.
So you can see Isaiah there in that video, just taking a bubble screen and just running it to the house. So the kind of yards after catch ability he possesses is on full display right there. That's what a lot of his highlight tape consists of: him catching the ball, taking one step behind the line of scrimmage, catching the ball, and taking off. And it's just great stuff to see Michigan State get a weapon like that in the receiving game. He was also being pursued by UNC, Virginia Tech, South Carolina. So great pickup there this morning. A couple other guys from California that are of interest. One of who committed earlier today, Jalen Barberin. He's a guy that Michigan State landed just an hour or two before the show. He's a running back from California that runs a 10.37 100-meter verified time. And Michigan State hosted him this past weekend, and they got him to commit a couple days later. His best friend, Sean Brown, also from Southern California, he's a safety, 6'3". He's committed to Arizona. Myself, Corey Robinson, us at 24/7 have a prediction for him to eventually flip to Michigan State. We'll see if that comes true. But those two guys from California would be very good pickups here at the end of the cycle. You need some of these guys that maybe other schools haven't taken shots on, maybe guys that are a little underrated. They're going to come in with a chip on their shoulder, and they have traits that you can't teach. Barberin, his speed, and Brown, his height and his ability to be mobile while at that height. So two great pickups there, in addition to Sean Brown, who seems to be trending towards Michigan State for sure.
Sam Leavitt.
Yes, Sam.
Talk.
Yep, Sam Leavitt is a guy from Washington State, or I should say he's committed to Washington State. He is from Oregon. Here's some plays that you see here. Yeah, so Sam Leavitt's a guy who is just a mobile quarterback, but is pass first at the same time. As you saw from the video here, the flick of the wrist, the ball goes 65 yards in the air. That's very rare. A great touch he puts on the deep ball. Here you see him just navigating the pocket in the backfield. You see him lob it off his back foot into the corner near the pylon. Here you see him running off the read option, going the distance. Just a very, very, very explosive runner that's better throwing the ball even than he is as a runner. So he went from outside of the top 800 to now being a 4-star prospect here in just the last few weeks.
You got a bump.
Yeah, huge bump. Unbelievable job by Jay Johnson and Jake Reiling and the rest of the guys in that recruiting department. Saeed Khalif, all the rest of the guys that are grinding tape over there. Great find by them. And he, as I said, is committed to Washington State. But today, myself and my colleagues at 24/7 put in the crystal ball that he, in our opinion, our prediction, that he might flip to Michigan State. So no timeline on a possible final decision from Sam there, but just a phenomenal find. And if Michigan State can get a 4-star quarterback in this class, after also trying their hardest to shoot their shot with Dante Moore and still coming away with Sam Leavitt, that is just a very, very great scenario there for sure. Yeah, and as you can see, and I don't know if you have the picture, but the crystal ball is up there. So, yep, there it is. Sam Leavitt. You see the flip from Washington State to Michigan State there. That was placed today. Myself, Corey Robinson, Brandon Huffman on the West Coast there for us. So hopefully that comes true, and Michigan State fans would enjoy that for sure.
So we got a couple more 4-stars that we're pursuing.
That's true. So we talked about a 4-star there. Now a couple more are Keyshawn Blackstock, a 4-star. JUCO, offensive lineman. On 24/7, he's listed as the number 1 interior offensive lineman, but I know Coach Cap thinks he can come in and play right tackle at Michigan State immediately if he were to choose the Spartans. He just visited this past weekend. We think that Michigan State did a great job on that official visit weekend, not just because Barberin committed and because Brown and Leavitt are trending, but also even some other guys, some transfers that are lesser known right now that we're covering on our site. So if all of that momentum is true, then Blackstock would have felt that too while he was on campus. So you can feel that they've done a great job this weekend. And another 4-star running back that Michigan State fans would know very well, Kedrick Reesano, he was committed to Michigan State for a while. And my colleague Corey Robinson is all over that recruitment, and sounds like to us that right now it's pretty much 50-50 between Michigan State and Ole Miss. So we'll see what it unfolds here in the next 7 days before signing day, as Reesano plans to sign 1 week from today, Wednesday. So Michigan State can tip that 50-50 in their favor. There's some firepower here they might be able to close this class out with. So that pretty much does it from the recruiting standpoint. Some other topics, just since we haven't kind of been on this show for a while, it's just the basketball team season's been going on. So
tell us.
7-4 is their record right now, but they have some good
hell of a job.
Yeah, they have some winnable games in front of them here that can inflate that, and they have some big wins under their belt already as well. They battled against Gonzaga, just barely lost that game. They beat Kentucky. They beat Villanova. I think Villanova is going to turn their season around here now that Cam Whitmore's back, so that stock will go up on that win. Penn State, right after Michigan State beat them on the road, which is never easy in the Big Ten, Penn State then went on the road and beat Illinois. So that really raised Michigan State's KenPom rating there. So a lot of promise there recently, and they're going to finally get a chance to rest. Coach Izzo said since the season started, because of that schedule, they've had like 3 full-speed practices the whole time. So they have been exhausted. They haven't gotten to work on things because of the grueling schedule. So finally they're going to get some time. They're going to get a chance to practice, slow it down. So if Malik Hall comes back and they're playing like they were before he got injured, and these guys keep getting better as a group, the rest of them, I think there could be some fun moments again the rest of the season like we saw earlier in the year.
He also said we go to school at Michigan State.
That's true. He did say that. Yeah.
Typical Tom Izzo. You know what? Tom Izzo loves MSU. I wish I could explain to everybody how much Michigan State University mattered to Tom Izzo. It's not about wins or losses. It's about how much he loves the place. From every corner of the university, of not playing politics, not getting caught in the Lansing circus of politics, really truly caring about the university. I'm talking about meeting with donors. I'm going to donors events like tonight that he has, about meeting with officials from the Orange Bowl, spending all night with them to get us a bid. There's so many things that he does as an ambassador of the university that he's not paid for, and that's because he loves the place. He loves Michigan State so much. He does not get caught up in the politics. He doesn't use the university kind of as a launching pad. And I think, and I'm not just saying this because it's Tom Izzo. I'm telling you this because I know the internal workings of the place. Tom Izzo is a gem. He is a treasure for this university in more ways than one. It's not just winning or losing. It's about actually caring about the university. I'm going to get into that further later on, not today, but he loves this place so much, he will do anything to make sure that it's moving in the right direction. And I'm not just talking about basketball. And we're going to hit that later on one day, but not today. But I want you to know that Tom Izzo, he loves this place from the bottom of his heart. And he doesn't use Michigan State as a tool to advance other people, to push agendas. He truly, genuinely cares about where the direction of this university is headed. And I respect that so much. So much. One day the truth will come out about a lot of things. Today's not the day, but the respect that I have for him it's unmatched. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and it seems like Coach Izzo is planning to stay around for a long time if you look at the way he's recruiting.
Lifetime contract.
It's, the 2024 class right now, I mean, obviously you have to eventually close on the kids before I can make any claims, but right now it's shaping up to be better than the 2023 class in terms of who's interested this early on. They have multiple 5-stars that are wanting to visit. Some have already visited. It seems like every day there's a new 5-star they're being linked to. I was joking around with you and some others earlier. Seems like they have 7 of the top 5 kids interested in Michigan State right now. So the level of talent that is interested right now in Tom Izzo and his program, it's the highest that I've ever seen. There's probably an era that I wasn't following recruiting in from years ago where you guys can say, like, no, there was this era. But right now, after landing the number 3 class, seeming like that being a floor out of what I'm seeing in the next 2 classes, I don't know if Izzo has ever stacked classes in the way that I think he can and the way that it's looking like he can. And it's not just because of who's visiting. It's not just because of a few quotes in articles. And you can say, oh, signing day is 12 months away. How do you know it's going to go? It's about the process. It's about the methodical approach they're using right now. I always thought that they were kind of unfairly criticized of, oh, they only offer Midwest kids. I don't think that was really the case. But even if you did feel that way, you definitely can't feel that way anymore. They're down in Texas. They're all the way out in the East Coast. They're finding kids of high caliber everywhere all over the globe right now. They're offering them early. They're getting them on campus early. Really, I can't find a single complaint one could have anymore with Michigan State's high school recruiting. And the new hires that he's made have been instrumental in that. There's a lot of youth on the staff, but it's youth that Izzo is familiar with that are from his program. Mark Montgomery rejoined the program a few years ago. He's done a great job. He's mentioned in so many recruiting quotes from the players. He's been here a few years now. Coach Thomas Kelly just got back. He's brought great energy. Coach Wojcik has been here for a few years, and he's certainly pulling his weight and doing a lot on the recruiting trail right now too. Also kind of a tone setter for the new guys of how the assistant coaches are supposed to operate there. John Borovich, the new director of recruiting, this obviously credit goes to him as well from finding these guys to having such a wide recruiting board. Just a great job by all of the guys over there in East Lansing right now. And I don't think I don't think I can oversell it, but just so much optimism right now with how Tom Izzo and his staff are recruiting the high school ranks.
I think what he's proven is relationships matter. Mm-hmm. In this era of NIL that's become very transactional, relationships matter.
Yeah.
You saw that with this 23 class. Not a whimper. They all signed.
Yep.
Very little fanfare.
Yep.
They were coming here. It wasn't a big whoop-de-doo. And he's, you even saw other analysts like a Josh Pate come out and say some schools are not offering NIL money. That they're telling these players that the future matters more. Take the early money now or get developed by a top-tier program to make hundreds of millions later. And I'm not saying Tom Izzo's doing that. All I'm saying is that relationships matter. And as we see all these young men enter the portal immediately, right, because we live in an instant gratification society, these relationships do matter. And, people were questioning Izzo about not going to the portal, getting a center, all these things, and he told everybody after we beat Kentucky that what Maddie did, he said, loyalty is a two-way street. I can appreciate that. I can respect that. Totally.
Yeah, it's going to be paying dividends on the recruiting trail for sure. So they're going to have some sustained success if I'm right about my read on their recruiting right now.
If you're right. Big if.
Yeah, that's true. Rarely happens. Rarely happens.
Owen.
Yes, sir.
Let's get the 360 update.
All right. It's time for Owen's 360 MSU Sports Weekly Update. MSU hockey, a massive, massive win over Michigan 2-1 on Friday, and Adam Nightingale becomes the first ever MSU coach to beat Michigan in his first ever try. Cole Krieger and Tiernan Chowdy both scored to give the Spartans the win. Dylan St. Cyr had 22 saves in the performance and was absolutely phenomenal. In the second game, MSU did fall to Michigan 2-1, with Jagger Joshua scoring the lone goal. Dylan St. Cyr, he's had a fantastic season. He continues that way, 25 saves in that one. And this MSU program has really turned around in just 1 year with Adam Nightingale at the helm for the Spartans. And now flipping over to MSU women's basketball, as they dropped a couple of close ones in a row. In overtime, Purdue took down Michigan State 76-71, with K-Max scoring 22 points and leading the team in that one. And then MSU battled to the end, but then fell to number 3 OSU 74-68, with Mo Joyner leading the way with 16 points, 4 assists, and Gabby Elliott had 9 rebounds and 11 points. Until next time, I am Owen Ozust with Owen's MSU Athletics 360 update.
Owen, thank you. I'll tell you, I'm a big fan of Susie.
Yep.
She's going to be, she is phenomenal.
Yep.
And got the program trending in the right direction.
Takes a lot for Mizzo as well, and her coaching style and what she does.
Absolutely. How about the Night King, though?
Oh.
Nightingale has turned that hockey program around in a short time, recruiting well, got us ranked.
And it was absolutely packed at the Mun on Friday.
I heard it was electric.
Michigan State fans showed up in the biggest way, and Izzo talked about it on his coach's show on Monday. He said it reminded him of the old Mun Arena when everyone would come. It would be sold out every night. We're trending in that right direction for Michigan State.
We are the Night King, bringing hockey back. So we're excited. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am Brian Musalam, along with my co-host,
Justin Thin. And we will be back. And we appreciate you joining us for this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed the interview, the very exclusive interview that Brian got us here. And we'll see you next time. This was the SD4L show. Thanks for tuning in.
Please close your eyes, turn around, and count to 9. When you open them, I will be gone.
Okay, 9, 8, 7,